Hey everyone, I'm Albert Boris. So, Mario Party 9, as a lot of you know, is a game that stands very close to my heart. It was the first Mario game that I ever played, excluding Flash games, so I've spent a lot of time around it, and it basically introduced me to the rest of the Mario franchise as well. And one of the reasons I've always loved this game so much are the boss battle minigames. Halfway through each board match, as well as at the very end, you'll all be fighting a boss, and whoever deals the most damage also gets more mini-stars than usual. The thing I love about them is that even though they're pretty simple in execution, they add so much more stakes to the experience, leaving every match on a high note. So today, I wanted to rank them all. I haven't seen too many people do this kind of video, so I thought, why don't I make my take public? Especially since I already ranked the bosses of Super Mario Party Jamboree a few months ago. So with all of that being said, I say, let's get started. In last place, we have Bowser Jr. Breakdown. This one is a complete travesty. The thing about boss minigames is that they're usually the games that decide who ends up coming out on top in the end, due to the much greater rewards you get for beating them. And for that reason, they're usually more skill based than the rest of the selection. So whose bright idea was it to make a boss battle entirely based on luck? No, seriously, you're just hitting the dice and hoping you land on a star space on this board, I think. But yep, that's literally all there is to it. It's luck based and it's unengaging. I mean, at least it's just a mid-boss, so if you lose, there's still plenty of time to turn around on the board. If I had to give it some compliments, not only is the atmosphere fairly cinematic, in fact it's the only mid-boss with a unique boss theme, but I also think it's absolutely hilarious how the other players will react the opposite way you do, depending on what you get. But as a boss minigame, it just makes me want to break down. Easy F tier. Bombard Big Bob-Bomb makes Oppenheimer roll in his grave. This one is basically a mind game. You have 4 differently sized bombs placed in front of you, and you all have to decide which one to pick up and throw at the king. And if you all choose the same one, neither of you get to toss it. And obviously, you should pick the big one. After all, it's what's gonna do the most damage. But wait, what if someone else picks it up for that same reason? Maybe I should just pick a smaller one to be safe. But oh, what if they're also thinking that? You know what, screw it, I'll just choose. Oh, you all! Look, I don't mind games, but this one handles it so obnoxiously. In the end, it practically just boils down to luck anyways, because everyone will choose any bomb for any reason, and bumping into somebody is just the worst feeling ever. Especially in the second phase, where you'll lose points for it. Theoretically, this minigame could go on forever, but even if it obviously never does that, the fact remains that it has the risk for going on for way longer than it should, depending on how many times you all bump into each other, and it really drags down the pace. And if you play with only 2 people, he'll even toss away a bomb at random. Screw you, Big Bob-Bomb. Screw you. I guess it's more engaging than the worst boss battle, but this still kinda sucks, so detail. Spike Strike is the first boss fight on the list, which I think is at least okay, and it's very straightforward. Spike spits out rolling spike balls rolling towards you, and you then have to quickly pick a hammer to launch them back at him. Yeah, because those hammers just happen to be there. Regardless, the execution is very exhilarating, since you have to be quick to notice where the best hammer is, and then select it before anyone else. The reason it's only number 10 though, is that besides being very simple, I feel that it's very easy to fall behind if you make just one mistake. Most of the time, Spike goes down after 5 rounds, because of how crazily powerful these hammers are, so there's usually not enough time to catch up if you screw up at some point. Plus, the final hit will also be shared by multiple people because of the way the fight is structured. So yeah, it does end up getting a bit one-sided at times. Certainly fun for what it is, but it could be better if, say, the first person to select the hammer would also get the first hit. So this one is just fine. At number 9, we have Blooper Barrage. This used to be far lower for me, although I've grown to enjoy it a little more over the years. It's definitely got one of the best uses of motion controls in this game, and one thing I always kinda liked about this one is that it feels a bit more like a traditional boss compared to some of the other ones, since you're actually directly attacking him, instead of just choosing something to attack with. It makes this one stand out a bit, although unfortunately it does also make it a bit more mundane since you're just shooting him, over and over again. Sometimes he'll also toss urchins at you that you have to shoot to the next player, but it's kinda useless and annoying. Either I waste a shot on that and miss a point for blooper, or I go for blooper instead, get a point, but also lose one from the urchin. Like, what's exactly the point? It's also kinda unsatisfying to shoot with the cannons because of how precise you have to be, but overall I still think it's an okay boss. He's more engaging than the bottom three, and I like the attack where he sprays you all with ink. It's just that the other ones are more interesting overall. Also unrelated, but this blooper is scary. I mean, jeez, look at how huge he is compared to everyone else, and how he's just staring at you. In 8th place, we have Deck Dry Bones. This one already gets a few bonus points because Dry Bones is literally one of the coolest Mario enemies in every way. But as for the minigame itself, it's fairly unique too. It's kind of a memory game, but with a fun twist. Basically, remember where all of these cards are, and then pick one of the same platform as Dry Bones is standing on. Except you don't know which one he'll stand on. That only happens when all of the cards have been turned over. It creates an engaging dynamic where you have to pay extra close attention, because even if you get a picture in your head of where some cards are, what if the other players were looking at the exact same ones? Then you better be either really fast to pick, or make sure you remembered some other placements too. So it's kind of like the Bob-omb fight, except with way more skill. But now sure, like with Spike, it's kinda easy to fall behind if you screw up once, because even just one card from one player does a hell of a lot of damage. Don't ask me how that works, but I still think it's also an overall more fair minigame, since unlike that one, there's always a weapon for everyone here. So overall, I really like this boss fight. Womp Stomp is basically a way better version of King Bob-omb's boss fight. Both of them are kind of mind games where you have to make a guess without knowing what the other players will do, but whereas that one is mostly just frustrating and sluggish, this one's actually kind of exciting. Basically, you're all standing on this rotating platform, and every player gets the choice if they want to rotate it once or not. And in the end, everyone's total is added up. One player unfortunately has to get squashed by Womp, but that's when the others can come forth and ground pound him. The thing that already makes it so much more bearable than the bomb fight is that the pacing doesn't drag on. Someone's always gonna get smashed no matter what, and it's kind of exhilarating to see who will become the victim next round, and hoping it's not you. And also, when there's only 2 options instead of 4 different ones, the whole mind game aspect becomes a bit more grounded, and trying to guess what others will pick based on their current positions is a lot more engaging than just picking a bomb for whatever reason. So yeah, I like this one a lot. It's still kinda bullshit, and there's always the risk that one person can never catch a break, making it a bit unfair, but at least it's also just a mid-boss, so it's not the end of the world if you lose it. Still, I like the concept enough to make it 7th place for me. In 6th place, we have Cheap Shot. Now this is one that really grew on me over the past year. It's another shooter type of game where you have to send off projectiles to deal damage, but it's so much more unique than Blooper Barrage, because this time you have to quickly snag Koopa shells that are floating by trapped in bubbles, and then once you've grabbed them, fire them back at Cheap. It's fun to fight with your friends over who gets to grab the shells, and there's also just something really satisfying about watching them get flung back at the boss, partly because of how they almost seem drawn to him, so you don't even have to be super precise either. Sometimes the Cheap will also lunge forward to you, or even jump up in the air only to then land like a bomb. It's just a really satisfying boss. And while on one hand, Dragon Eel Slayers in Mario Party Jamboree is basically just this one, but more dynamic, I still always look forward to playing this one too. Opening up the top 5 with Wiggler Bounce. Who would have thought that the first 2 boss fights from the game would make it so high on the list? To be fair, maybe it's not that much of a surprise, since they're also the only ones that are really platformer based. And you know, I like being able to move around. Wiggler Bounce in particular is basically just the ground pounding the different parts of Wiggler's body whenever he comes around, and also avoiding the piranha plants that pop out. It's a simple minigame, but man is it exhilarating. There's always that one red spot on Wiggler's body that will award more points for getting ground pounded on, and everyone's always fighting to get a piece of it, which I love. And it gets especially hectic when Wiggler turns mad and he walks twice as fast. It actually becomes a bit hard to keep up with him, since you always bounce away after ground pounding him, and you're always wondering from which corner will Wiggler emerge next from. Overall, this one is great. And right after, we have Saki Talagitu, the very first boss in the game, and this one is almost chaos incarnate. It's another platformer styled boss minigame, where you this time gotta hit these randomly spawned in roulette blocks, whenever they're showing bullet bills, and obviously the more bullet bills are shown, the better. But you also need to avoid the incoming spines that are thrown by Lakitu, and not hit them on the blocks. What makes this one even more thrilling than Wiggler Bounce is the fact that the platform you're all walking on is much smaller. It's not so tiny that you can't move around, but you definitely have to be much more careful and not run into any hazards. And the fact that there will only be 3 roulette blocks at any given moment means that everyone's gonna be fighting to hit them first. It's already crazy, but the fact that you also have to time them so that they're displaying the right image just makes it that much more stressful and engaging, compared to a lot of the more other simpler boss fights later on. It's only in 4th place because the theme is still kind of boring. It's just random platform in the sky. Wow. But yeah, what an engaging first boss, surprisingly. In 3rd place, we have Chain Chomp Romp, and now we're getting to the boss battles that I think are really amazing, starting with the one that actually gave me legitimate nightmares. No, seriously, he's just ominously waiting there to munch on somebody, which eventually he also does because there's not enough cannons for everyone. Ugh, even the music feels more messed up than usual. But to be honest, all of this is also why I've taken such a strong liking to this minigame, as it always puts me on my toes. It's definitely got one of the most nerve-wracking gameplays, as you have to select one of 5 minecarts that will hopefully lead you to a cannon. And you only get one brief glimpse of the rail tracks per round, so you have to not only pay a lot of attention, but also be fast so that nobody else steals your minecart. And I love the tension. It's skill-based, but unlike Spike Strike, it doesn't rely on motion controls, but it's also one of the most oddly strategic boss minigames in a different way as well though. See, if you're the last person to strike a hit on a boss before they're defeated, you get an additional 3-point bonus. And in most minigames, it doesn't matter too much, but for this one, the order that everybody fires the cannons in is always from left to right. So when the boss gets low on HP, you can also strategize based on that, and try to get to the cannon you think will score the last hit. So yeah, this minigame is kind of a big deal for me. In fact, it even used to be my favorite one. It's just that the top 2 are a little more engaging, something I've grown to appreciate more over the years. Plus, the slower pace of this minigame does make it slightly boring at times, but only barely. In silver, we have King Boo's Puzzle Attack. Now this is a true gem of a fight. It's honestly one of the most seamless combinations of action and puzzling I've seen from a Mario Party minigame. Basically, you have all these items on screen that you need to line up 3 or more of, and depending on how much you line up, that's the amount of damage you'll deal to him. It might seem kinda stupid at first, but believe me when I say it's super exhilarating. Lining up these items is so satisfying, and the atmosphere is a spooky calm, but still intense. Everyone is always fighting to line up the puzzles first, and sometimes lightning will appear, and if that's lined up, oh boy, you get to take away points from everyone else, while you deal 10 damage. Whenever that item shows up, you bet everyone's fighting to be the first to line it up, even if they're already busy with something else, which adds another element of strategy. Do I chance for the lightning even if someone else gets there first, or do I take advantage of this power vacuum and line up everything else here, to make up for the inevitable loss of points? The second phase gets even more chaotic when King Boo sends his minions to invade a puzzle, and if you touch him, you have to shake him off to move freely again, making for an even more frantic battle. It really is an amazing fight, and I have very little to complain about at all. It's neither simple, nor too easy. And as a side note, I love how the candles in the background start off as an ominous blue, but then when King Boo gets mad, they become a much more aggressive red. It really sets the mood. There's just one boss fight I think is even better, and that is... Bowser's Black Battle. Holy f***, they did not need to go so hard on this. This is not just my favorite Mario Party 9 boss, but it's one of my favorite Mario Party minigames ever made. I don't even know where to start, but I guess we can open up with the gameplay, which is honestly one of the most clever combinations of both luck and skill. Bowser will throw a bunch of dice blocks onto this arena, then you have to throw them around to make sure that the side with your character is the one facing up, because the more phases you have, the more damage you'll deal to Bowser when you turn them into meteors.
Wait, doesn't that just make it another boring luck minigame then?
No, it's actually the best luck-based minigame I've ever played. Because for starters, the fact that you actually have agency of where to move and which blocks to throw already gives it much more power compared to say Bowser Jr. Breakdown. It's entirely your choice which dice blocks to flip over, even if the results are still luck-based. There's also the risk of Bowser's emblem sometimes facing up, and for every dice that shows that symbol, Bowser will spew fireballs that many times. And for the second phase, he'll even summon a stage boss from one of the previous boards, and they get to cause havoc too. There's so many elements to this fight, and as you can see, even if the main gimmick has some luck, there's still so many instances where you have to be quick on your toes to not lose any points. And honestly, I just have to mention the presentation as well. I mean, geez, you're circling a literal black hole for this fight, sucking in planets and everything. This is a Mario Party game. They had no business coming up with such a dramatic setting for it, but I absolutely love how insane it is. Even the music makes you feel like the world is revolving, and you have to stop Bowser from destroying the universe. Which, to be fair, that's kind of what he is doing, as per the story mode. He's also scary as when he just grows twice his usual size, so there's that too. Really, this boss fight is near perfect. It's not quite the best Bowser battle in the series. Mario Party Island Tour and oh boy, especially Mario Party 10 knocked it even more out of the park, but for what it's worth, this is an easy S tier as well. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was my full ranking of all the boss battles in Mario Party 9.
Wait, this isn't over yet.
Very well. What would you like to add to the discussion, evil twin?
Well, you forgot to talk about the Diddy Kong and DK minigames.
Well, I guess, but they're not really boss battles. Oh wait, they are? Okay. I mean, sure, I guess I can share some words with them too. So, Donkey Kong's Jungle Ruins, the secret board in the game, also kind of has boss fights for these two fellas, but instead of fighting them, you're just fighting each other to collect the most bananas, and they're fine. Definitely the best part of this otherwise mediocre and luck-based board. Diddy Kong's Banana Blast is pretty average, you're all restricted to this circle, if you hit someone else, you unfortunately get immobilized for a while, wasting a lot of time. Donkey Kong's Banana Bonus, on the other hand though, is pretty fire. The bananas move around the stage more dynamically, bouncing into other players doesn't hurt you, and if you're lucky, you can get to a bonus barrel and get sent flying to much bigger bananas. Overall, if I had to rank them alongside the other bosses, Diddy would go between Spike and Blooper, while Donkey Kong goes into A tier, right behind the chain jump. But yeah, now the ranking is fully finished, and I hope you all enjoyed watching this video. Overall, yeah, I'd say these fights hold up. They're not quite as dynamic as they could be, a lot of them have pretty simple concepts and gameplay, but even so, they're still moderately exciting, especially with other people. Mario Party 10 definitely improved on them for the most part, making the fights feel more dynamic and difficult, but for what it's worth, these fights are still pretty epic. Especially when you contrast them with Super Mario Party Jamboree's ones. Man, that game did not know how to handle boss battles. But what is your ranking of the bosses in Mario Party 9? Did you agree with me or not? Make sure to let me know down below what you think of these boss fights. And if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel as I make more videos on the Mario franchise. Join my Discord server, Green Pipe City, and follow me on Patreon and Twitter for more updates. And I'll see you all soon. Until next time.